Welcome to Stay Sparked. On this show, we explore how to stay inspired in the modern world through the most profound lessons from Burning Man, relationships, entrepreneurship, psychedelics, spirituality, travel, and more.
On today's episode, we talk about slowing down.
We talk about how to move mindfully when the world says to go fast.
And we discuss some tools that we can use to get ourselves into a place where slowing down becomes easier.
Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Stay Sparked. We are three longtime friends that have been sharing inspiring conversations, and now we are here to share those inspiring conversations with you as a way to spread some sparks of inspiration. I'm Betsy.
I'm Halcyon.
And I'm Janus.
We always love starting our conversations with gratitude. So, Janus, what are you grateful for today?
I may have likely used this one before, but I'm feeling, or expressed this one before, but I'm feeling grateful for community in this moment. We've had a lot of friends dropping in with us since my partner and I have a new baby, and we're also getting ready to move, that we've had a lot of friends reaching out to us being like, hey, I just saw this new spot available, or friends getting together for a meal train and delivering us meals. Like, we've had a number of friends in the last week drop off some really good food for us, and it's been good to have some social connection and activity, interactivity with our friends. So feeling grateful for community in this
moment. Yeah, big shout out to community. Amazing.
Hey.
How about you, Halcyon? What are you grateful for today?
I am feeling grateful for an opportunity that I had to sit in on some friends creating music and recording music, and just witnessing the mastery and the patience of just doing take after take, and the trust that the musicians and singers had as they would make suggestions or offer different ways of doing it. I just was just so inspired by the what it takes to really create something of, as close to perfection as possible. So I'm grateful for that inspiration.
Amazing. I'm going to share my gratitude for some friends and our listeners, actually. I want to give some shout outs, actually, to some of the feedback I've been getting from those of you out there that are dear friends that have been listening and letting us know that these conversations have been supportive to you. So a big shout out to Tanya Raven, who just continues to fan my/our flames for this podcast and for the other work that we're doing. And I just love you so much. And also a big shout out to Charlotte Proud, she actually is one of the co-producers of the music who opens our podcast here of Dub Sutra. So thank you for listening, and so grateful for your love and your comments and your reviews. Really gives us the fuel for our fire to keep going. So big shout out and gratitude for you guys out there.
Thank you.
Thanks,
yeah,
peeps.
We love you. So we wanted to dive into a conversation today that seems relevant to the time that we're in, of going into the winter. So we're in a seasonal shift, and this is a conversation around slowing down and the value of unplugging, and how do we actually do that when we live in a very busy, fast-paced world that a lot of times there's the environmental situations don't always really provide that space to slow down. Whether you are working a lot, if you're a parent, if you're a social creature, there's just a million things to do, tend to. So how do we slow down? How do we actually honor that need of our bodies and our spirits to be able to slow down? So I'd love to maybe just open up the dialogue from that. How do we do that? And why do we want to do that? If either of you guys have any sparks going to share, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, this is a very pertinent topic for me in the moment, just due to the fact that my partner and I have a new baby, and there's been so much going on with stuff that needs to be done, that I've gotten to a point for the really first time in my life where I've been pushing up against a sense of overwhelm, I guess you'd say, like waking up and knowing that the to-do list is very long. And after several days or weeks of that in a row, you get to a certain point where you can only take so much of this before it's like, all right, I need to unplug. I need to slow down. I need to take a break, but there's really no room or space for that, seemingly, apparently. And I think that's kind of the key. It seems like there's no room for that. But kind of coming to a place like, okay, so where do I squeeze this break in? Where do I squeeze this time for slowing down? Because sometimes you need time, like a day or what have you, a couple days even, to really like unplug. So that is an inquiry that I'm really kind of sitting with these days, and have come to some ideas on that.
Hmm. I saw a meme that said something like, everything in nature happens with perfect timing. So anytime you're feeling anxious and rushed, it's because you're moving too fast.
Mm-hmm. Because
But
we are
that
nature.
but that is a luxury of someone, as I sit here with no kids, and I work for myself, so the schedules that I'm adhering to are self-created, and I think it's a more difficult thing to slow down when you've got lots of external people setting your timelines and your expectations on you, or babies.
Yeah, when we live in the reality of all these things that do need to get done, like you're talking about this overflowing to-do list, and also feeling like how it just doesn't ever stop, really. There's just always more things to be doing. And so how do we actually put into our to-do list to be? Right? What's the to be list, right? How do we actually honor that need to slow down by implementing these certain things, And I love what you said, Giannis, around perspective, the perspective of space, the perspective of time, right? And I get really fascinated by this, like the belief systems around never having enough time. Because when we really subscribe to that, then our subconscious mind starts to look for all the reasons why that's true. And then our schedule just gets fuller and fuller and fuller. And then we're just like overwhelmed. And I have a girlfriend of mine who she's been in this for years. She is very adamant about saying how busy she is. She talks about it all the time, how she never has enough time, and she wishes she had more time, but she just doesn't. And it is just a perpetuating story that she's telling herself. And I've watched her, to try to unwind that really takes effort to shift the internal programming around it. How can I start to see that there is little bits of time, and we start paying attention to, like, oh, I actually have time to relax, there's 5 minutes. We start to pay attention, oh, I do have time. Then that starts to expand and grow, and we can actually start to create more spaciousness. But I feel like that is a really big part of creating that. It starts from the inner belief around whether or not we have enough time or not.
I totally agree. I think there's a lot of the attitudes around these things that just make such a big difference. And another belief of that I find myself caught in, I see people all the time, is that, you know, the objective being finishing your to-do list. Like I just need to keep rushing until I get things finished. But we're never finished. We're never ever done with the to-do list. So like having some sort of shift from get to the finish line to do what I'm doing now, do what I'm doing now. And that kind of can help to slow down the urgency. I am actually wearing
Yeah,
a hat right
yeah,
now that says no urgency because I found myself so
Mm.
caught up in uh, this subconscious kind of energy or pressure of like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I've really been in the last 10 months really kind of really focusing on how often I'm thinking that, and how often when I'm in any activity, even like sitting by the river, there's a part of my voice in my mind that's like, we got to get back. We got to get back. I'm like, but there's not a reason. It's just a generalized pressure to move quickly and get things done.
Yeah, and what's so funny about that is what happens to our breath when we're thinking in that way. It's very likely short. Anxiety is like short, fast, shallow breaths, right? And it contributes to tightening, stress, And so when we can start to be mindful around how we're breathing, that can slow things down and actually help to support the keep coming back.
Yeah, that is
Ah,
real quick. That's a key point that I don't know that I would have come up with on my own. Just because that's where so many of the things start is with our breath. And so if you find whatever you're feeling, and if you're like, oh, this, whatever, stop and have some sort of breathing, like 30-second drop in with yourself, just to kind of catch your breath, literally catch your breath, and just kind of bring it into like nice deep breathing, maybe even like 3 deep breaths is a pretty good like reset to kind of like catch yourself and reorient to what kind of energy you're trying to operate with.
Yeah, and
another,
in this question of the inquiry around how can we actually start to slow down when we live in a very busy world, 3D breaths takes less than 10 or 15 seconds. And it really does get your nervous system to slow down. And then you can keep moving. Mhm.
yeah, another, I think, tip along those lines is uh, becoming aware, are any muscles flexing that are not involved in the current task? And I find
Mm.
all the time, if I can do that check in, I'm like, oh, my face is a little tense. I've got some clenching in my chest and some my shoulders. Like all that I'm doing right now is driving. So why are so many muscles in a slight tension in them? And that kind of that's been a huge help for me to just like, okay, similar to the breath. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm my my energy is way more tense than required right now.
Yeah, and I think that that breathing helps you notice that. I think helps me notice that when I'm going into 3 deep breaths. And I actually have a longer breathing practice that I like to do. Is just that takes a couple of minutes. I don't know that I want to get into it now, but some other time perhaps. But it takes me a couple minutes of just like taking deep breath, holding it, and then releasing it, and then it goes a little longer every time. But by the time I'm done with that, my body is just fully relaxed, and I notice where I'm like gripping. I have a thing where I grip my leg for some reason when I'm like on the internet. I've caught myself like just clutching my. I'm like, why? What is that about? So that breathing helps us to kind of notice that and allows us to begin the process of, you know, getting to a point of slowing down. Yeah.
I love how this conversation is unfolding. It's so inspiring because we never know where these conversations are going to go. But it's really inspiring to consider that intention around slowing down and how it's directly related to the body and how we can actually harness the power of the body and mindfulness in the body, self-awareness of our bodies, of our breath, to be able to have a more graceful relationship to our schedules.
Hmm. And speaking of that, I'm sparked to almost go macro and then bring it down to the micro to the individual, because I'm reminded of when I was living in Los Angeles after 17 years of living in Los Angeles. It's one of those cities, for my experience and a lot of other experiences as well that I've spoken to people about, is one of those places that has an expiration date that kind of sneaks up on you. Like you love it on Monday and then you wake up on Tuesday, like, what am I doing? Oh my God. Da, da, da. Caught up in like I didn't never thought twice about spending an hour and a half in traffic every single day to get to work for like 7 miles away, something like that. But just like looking at our lives, like a lot of times our lives can have this like almost like this perpetual motion machine built into it that produces states of busyness, go go go, overwhelm, things like that, and we're just kind of on this hamster wheel of it. I think it's important to kind of at some point, multiple times throughout our lives, to really stop and look around and like, is this the life that I want to be living? Because you can have all these practices, but it's almost like, if you keep walking the same path and you keep falling into a manhole and you have to like pull yourself up out of it, after a certain point, you got to change your path. So it's important to, I think, to look at a big picture fairly frequently in your life and be like, okay, is this what I want to be doing with my life? Is this the life I want to be living? And if not, recalibrate, refocus, and reset. And you might find yourself in a position where it's like, yeah, you can change things so that you don't get these influences that are causing you this space of, needing to slow down. Like if I'm needing to slow down for my life, maybe my life should be examined a little bit more so I don't need to do these things so often.
So powerful. I love that. Thank you for bringing that forward because, it can be a very common thing to burn the candle at both ends. and sometimes we can get stuck in that pattern for some time. It's like, I know I'm just going too hard and I'm pushing too fast, but then I don't know how to get out of it. And those are some very big questions to be asking. And I think they're important because if the pattern continues, then that just leads to burnout. And then you have to make the changes anyways. Your body is going to force you to make the changes. And so, yeah, being able to pull up and out and look at the bigger picture of our lives to see, is this actually sustainable the way that I'm going?
Mm. Yeah,
You
sustainability is a
know,
big question.
yeah, like I have a friend who she shared with me that she was going to take a vacation because she had to. She had gone like 3 years with working, 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 and she got to a place of burning out and going like, I just have to go to the beach for a week. It's like I am like just so tired. I can't even. And on her vacation, she could barely enjoy herself. It was like out of necessity to like have to take a vacation. And, that was so hard to witness because, that was my friend and she was really burning the candle. And I'm so thankful that now she has readjusted her life. She quit that job. She started to refocus her life in a way that was much more sustainable. And she's feeling better. And I really took that as a role. She's a role model for me in that too, because I really like to use
Mm,
um, preventative maintenance or preventative vacations in a way, especially as a body worker. I do a lot of massage therapy and I'm using my hands a lot, using my body a lot. And traditionally, it's not known to be a profession that has a lot of longevity. People have been known to hurt their joints or hurt their bodies. And so over my 17 plus years of doing this work, I've made it a point to make sure to take nice long breaks. Like I just took off for 6 weeks and was able to really simplify my work so that way I could have a rejuvenation to be able to do that. Of course, I mean, I feel very blessed to be able to do that. I know not everybody could take that, but sometimes a couple of days can be the reset that we need to be able to support the longevity and the preventative burnout.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there's some of this goes back to the mindsets. I mean, you really have to make sure that your mindset is shifted so that you truly are valuing the slowdown and the break. Because if I think there's a subconscious fear sometimes that if I slow down, I won't be productive enough. I won't get the things done. And so part of you wants to be relieved of the pressure, but there's another deeper side that does not really want the pressure to go away because we're afraid who would we be without it? So you really got to, I think, work on your story as to creating value and around the quote unquote less productive times. I had a big shift in my life when I started putting on my to-do list and really changing the definition of productivity, things like time with my family. That is now considered productive time because otherwise I would be stressed and like I gotta leave. I gotta leave this dinner because I gotta go work on that project. I'm like, wait, no. This project, this self-care, this slow down in being present is on my to-do list.
And asking for help too. I feel like that's a really big one as well. Because there is a lot of pressure that is put on people, especially parents, single parents. I know quite a few people that are doing the thing that you got to do to raise these children, and it's a lot. It's a big freaking deal to have the full-time career, run the house, make sure everybody's fed. You're making sure that multiple mouths are fed. Tending to all of these things can be very overwhelming. And so finding ways to be able to either hire help, ask for help, I don't personally believe that we were really meant to or designed to do life in the way that so many people are having to do right now. We're
Mm,
we're tribal beings. It takes a village to raise a family, and so many people are doing it on their own. And so finding ways to ask for help, I think, is really valuable.
yeah, yeah. And on a similar note, it's important to realize, like with Betsy, you're talking about like taking this time, away for yourself, being able to take 6 weeks to do that. Yes, on the one hand, that's a blessing. On the other hand, nobody's giving this to you. Like nobody's going to give you free time. Nobody's going to give you an opportunity to slow down. You're going to need to take this. You're going to need to make room in your life. No one's going to give you a break on that. People give you stuff to do just by just naturally stuff. Like even like we got a dinner invite from some friends recently, and it's like I would love to see you guys for dinner. And then that becomes another thing I have to do. I have to like make time for this. And it's just like, ugh. And there's that initial kind of like, oh, this is like another thing, another small little stressor I need to manage in my day. But then I also realize like, no, I can actually replace that quality time, social time, use that to replace, because we all have the same amount of hours in all of our days. And so like Halcyon was like talking about like reprioritizing. Like friend time is actually important. I need that in order to be able to attend to the other stuff. Like we had some friends over, and my partner the other night was like, that was really actually that kind of juiced me up, getting some social interaction, because she's not getting out of the house much these days with a new baby. So so that was key to kind of create these windows for ourselves. And one other thing, Halcyon, you mentioned before, like in your hat, kind of reminds me. These are good reminders because it's easy to get caught up in the go, 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 and I got all this stuff I got to do. But having like a t-shirt that says no urgency on it, or a hat that says no urgency on it. And sometimes I know, Betsy, you might have a few of these things, whether it's a bracelet with the intention to like, whenever you kind of notice it, slow down, talk to catch your breath. I know friends with like rings that they wear them, or even they have gotten tattoos that say like little reminders or whatever, and it's just something that you can kind of see throughout your day to kind of like stop, remind you to breathe. Whether that could be like a sticky note around your house or whatever that just says breathe on it, or relax or something like that. And these things kind of become, on the one hand, they do kind of become, they're not motivational, they're just like reminders. So the motivation can kind of wane on occasion, but like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn, people like me. You can have that post-it on your mirror, but that just becomes part of the scenery. But just a little simple something, relax, breathe, will remind you. It's not a motivation, it's a reminder to breathe and slow down. And I'd used those before, and they help a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm someone who has t-shirts and stickers and hats that constantly give me reminders of a phrase, a little like mantra thing that will kind of snap me back. And I encourage people to pay attention to which words resonate with you. You know, when I sometimes someone mentioned to me no urgency, and it's just like I felt in my body this relaxation that the same words of like slow down did not have the same effect on me. And so I made this hat, and someone kind of said, well, you shouldn't make it negative. It shouldn't be no urgency. You should say, and I was like, this phrase hit my body in a way that it resonated. So this is the message that I'm going to listen to and put stickers around.
Yeah, I love that because you can check yourself because there's a certain frequency that urgency carries, right? And we might kind of plug into that frequency of urgency. And because you have this reminder, you're like, oh, there's that frequency. I'm actually going to choose a different dial to retune the radio station to actually more mindfulness. And I think that this is a thread that oftentimes weaves through our conversations is around mindfulness. How do we approach all these different things with mindfulness? And one of the other threads that we love to always come back to is Burning Man. And I feel like Burning Man is the ultimate place of FOMO. There's a
Mm.
million things happening in this one environment in a couple of mile radius. There is like so many things that you can be doing, and sometimes it can feel like your energy is stretched. Oh my god, I want to be there, and I want to do this, and I want to make sure to do that, and da 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 da. And I've gone 8 times, and the last time I went, the eighth time, I got the most amount of sleep.
Mm.
um, and it was actually the most fulfilling year I ever had. And I realized in previous years, I was just trying to do all the things, all the things, all the things, all the things, all the things. And then I burned myself out by the end of it. I was sick, and all of the, you know, just stress that comes from feeling like I want to be in all the places all at the same time really contributed to less presence as well. And so, yeah, thank you, Burning Man, for teaching me that sleep is really valuable and it can contribute to a more fulfilling experience. And I just love being able to use Burning Man as that training ground to recognize that self-care, slowing down, making time to just get really present can contribute to a more joyful life.
Mhm. I love how Halcyon always lights up a little bit when the words Burning Man get uttered on the on the
Yeah, you guys
podcast.
should have
Like
seen his face on
I
the
get
YouTube. It's like,
yeah.
woo!
Oh
Burning Man. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
Burning Man.
always gets
Yeah.
that little starry eyed emoji. Yeah, his face
Well,
Oh.
becomes for like a half second. So that's great.
it's interesting that this topic of urgency and speeding up, slowing down, and Burning Man, and is one thing that I have noticed in, this, yesterday was 10 months sober off intoxicants for me.
Mm,
And uh, I've noticed that I am spending more time with fewer people, and kind of acknowledging like, I'm not going to meet everybody. I'm not going to see everything, and being more present and more, uh, I guess, clear-headed, able to let go of some of that kind of urgency, stress, and just drop into more present moments.
mm. Yeah, the idea of quality over quantity is kind of what we're talking about here. I think I've, after all those times at Burning Man that I've been, there's definitely been times I'm thankful that I got that download pretty early in my Burning Man attending career, where it's like, go, 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 do all the things. And then getting to a point where like approaching, like knowing I'm going to be going for the next several years, it's like, all right, next year I am going to go, 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 go. I do want to see all the things. And then when I get home, I need to like detox for like a week of just like doing nothing for a week. And then also going there with the intention, like, I'm going to really drop in with people and really take my time and don't need to see all the things. And one day I'm going to make a point to stay in camp all day and just kind of drop in with whoever I happen to run into and having those experiences. And they're both like fantastic in their own ways, but we're talking about mindfulness
Mhm.
as well. And really getting into the idea of embracing quality over quantity. Like I think, and there's a lot of people in our community who I think get that. And there have been a number of events that, house parties that we've, gone to where I will drop in with somebody for 3 hours at a party and just like, and there's people milling all around, but we're able to really like drop in with each other and even almost have that. I've had this conversation a few times where like, dude, I don't want to take up all your time. And the other person's like, no, 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 I'm totally into it. Like what's happening right here, right now. And being on the receiving end of that as well. Super juicy. That's really where it's at. And that's true for life as well. Like that to-do list with 20 things on there, maybe we can reduce it to 10 and really give some attention and presence and mindfulness to that. And that personally for me, I'm going to feel better at the end of the day. Um, Knowing that I gave my all to, you know, all the smaller amount of things that I had to do, as Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry would say, like, a man's got to know his limitations. True for women as well. So yeah, and yeah, just respect your bandwidth and being like, okay, so I can't do 20 things and feel good at the end of the day and not feel drained. So maybe like respect that I only have bandwidth for 10 things and attend to
Simplify.
that. Simplify. Yeah.
Simplify. Yes, absolutely. And I feel like meditation can really
Mm.
support that too. And Giannis, you mentioned something before we started recording around, if you how did it go? If you have 30 minutes, what was
if
that, 30
if
minutes to an hour?
if you're everyone should meditate for 30 minutes a day unless you are super busy, then you need to meditate an hour a day. And it takes a while to get your head around that, but it's true, I believe.
I love that so much. Yeah, meditation can really help and support creating that sense of present and simplifying and fine tuning where we can put our attention, that to-do list. I know for me personally, in meditation, it takes a little bit of time to really get that monkey mind to start to quiet down. And a lot of times, what the monkey mind is saying is the to-do list, all the things
Mm,
that I got to be doing, tending, tending, tending. And after a while of just keep coming back to the breath, keep simplifying the mind, keep presencing my body, keep presencing the sounds, and allowing those thoughts to just kind of get quieter and quieter, then something happens where I'm able to start to see the pathway of my doings for the day more clearly. It's kind of like starting off, it's like static and everything's just jumbled up. And to be able to just center and ground myself, then I can approach my day with a much more strategic presence and awareness to my priorities.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I there's for someone who rarely gets to the uh peaceful state on the other side of meditation, I still think there's a real benefit for those of us that struggle, because just if I just observe how frantic my mind is during meditation, I can remember that quicker when I'm someplace else and I'm like, oh gosh, my mind's doing that thing again where it's just going nonstop. And so it helps me to break out of the rust mode faster, just because I remember it from when I was meditating.
Mhm.
And I want to drop in for a second on just the idea of meditation. Like it's easy like to toss the word meditation around and like, okay, we should just meditate. But I think a lot of us like don't really know where to start, or don't really know like, okay, so what does that look like? Just me like being quiet and like, what does that entail? There's as many ways to meditate as there are like people on the planet, I believe. But one thing that helped me a lot early on, and I still do it, is the idea of like a candle meditation, which all you do is you light a candle and you sit and you just focus on the flame, and that's all you do. And you just like watch the flame. But what that does, it couldn't be any simpler. But and what it does, it essentially unhooks you from your thoughts. And then you start to notice these stream of thoughts that are always going through your head. And like they'll sometimes will hook onto one or they'll hook onto us. But it just notices, you're able to notice this stream of thoughts just coming in your head, swirling around, and then they just go. And you can sometimes focusing on the candle, the burning flame of this candle, you can almost find yourself like going after that thought as it's leaving. But it's like, oh no, wait, focus on the candle. And then it kind of just, your breath slows down as a natural result. And after 15 minutes, if that, I would find myself being like, wow, I'm locked in on this candlelight. My thoughts are going through. I'm not hooking on anything. And I come out of that super relaxed and really rejuvenated. So that is just a basic meditation that I learned early on that works for me, and I'm probably due to do that again. But it's a really good way to kind of unhook these thoughts from us. And one other tool that I've recently started using, and we'll maybe put a link into it in the show notes, but it's an app. But I think all of us here are familiar with the idea of binaural beats, and getting an app that allows you to like, it puts a tone in your brain, like with headphones, that you always want to use with headphones, and it just kind of entrains your brain to relax or focus depending on the beats. And there's plenty of good apps for that. The best one I found is something that we will link to it in the show notes. um, but it is fantastic. It's something that I can use to like when I wake up in the day, or when I'm going to winding down for the night, or when I want to like focus, relax, whatever. You can use, there's like 20 different beat rhythms and patterns that you can use for various practices. And a lot of these apps are free, so I would definitely recommend people get into the idea of binaural beats if you need to like find a place to be able to allow yourself to slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's plenty of tools out there.
Brainwave frequencies. Yes,
Mhm.
intentional the use of frequencies to help your brain to be able to focus, to be able to slow down. Yeah, it's really a beautiful tool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and just as an addendum onto that, we're talking about, I had the idea of slowing down, and we're kind of beating the drum about doing it from a foundational, like it starts with your mind, it starts with your body. That's where it starts. You gotta, if you're feeling like you gotta slow down in your life, in life, we have to slow down in our lives. That's where it starts. We can go from springboard off of that into certain rescheduling things and so on and so forth. But it's like, unless we get our minds and our bodies right, it's going to be like we're going to find ourselves back in the same place. So it's important to start at the source.
Absolutely. Well said. I love this conversation. It is actually helping me to breathe slowly and deeply, and some good reminders in here to be able to slow down even when the world is going so fast, even when our minds might be racing, that we can actually find some inner slowing down, simplifying. And so, with that, love to see if you guys have any closing sparks.
Yeah. I have two practical practices that have been helping me a bunch. One is in traffic, trying to preemptively be aware that the time is going to take as long as it takes, and so the experience of being in a traffic jam takes 30 minutes, no matter what my mindset is. And so if I can find continually, because I will keep butting up again, I'll keep going, and the tension will keep creeping up. If I just keep coming back to like, wait, I'm here, I'm present, and maybe I'll play some music, maybe I'll make a phone call. And so this 30-minute period that could have been, or tends to be for me, contributing to this feeling of rushed and tension, keep trying to convert it to an experience that is one of presence. Um, it, I still get there at the same amount of time, And then the other one is, I guess I'll call it like a partnership meditation, where when I'm just holding or touching my partner, just noticing when my mind is like slips into what's next, what do I got to do, and instead of pulling back and just the same way if you're meditating, focusing on your breath, or just like focusing on all the places where our skin is touching each other, where I'm smelling my partner's skin and hair, and just like really just going, wait, this is exactly where I want to be, this present moment is perfect, and just trying to just kind of just live in that present moment as long as possible. Because otherwise my mind just keeps tapping me, what's next? What's next? What's next? So traffic and touch.
Co-regulation.
Yeah, exactly.
Co-regulation.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, finding ways to give that to yourself is important for sure. And just kind of this is the summation of what we've been talking about today. And yeah, what sparks for me is the importance of that, and realizing, like, no matter what we're stressed about, all the, like, if we look back on our lives and all the things, like all that go and do and all the stresses in our life that we've experienced over the course of our adult lives, and we're still here. We're here. It all got handled. It all got done. So or it didn't, and it was fine. So getting to a point where it's like, okay, it's going to be fine. It's going to get done. However it gets done, I don't know how it's going to get done, but it's going to get done. So yeah, it's important to be able to, recognize the the necessity for slowing down, and how we really need to have some slowness in our lives, because you can going is just not sustainable. So I think we all recognize that, and find out what works for you, whether that's scheduling that in, or being, spontaneously being like, okay, now's the time to get present. Now's the time to drop in, slow down, whether you're able to do that with a partner, if you have a partner in lives, or you're able to do that on your own. Yeah, there's something to be said for find out where it works for you, but one of those things will work for you, either scheduling that in, or just recognizing when it has to happen during the day, or when it's a time you have an opening for that, take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Beautiful. I'll share my closing spark really comes from the point that we were making around the macro and micro moments of seeing when we might be in a space of rushedness or urgency or burning the candle, and coming into that place of mindfulness is continuously attuning to where we're at in each moment, in the micro moments of rushing out the door and feeling that energy of anxiety. And of course, that's just going to contribute to stubbing your toe or spilling something, which is just going to contribute to like the slowing down, right? And so
Yeah.
the mindfulness in those moments around I actually don't need to rush right now. I can breathe and just move with grace. And then the macro of the bigger picture of life, are these the ways that I want to keep living my life? Am I living the best life? Am I moving too fast? Am I burning the candle? Like, do I need to make some big adjustments? And I think those are really powerful inquiries and consistent check-ins with ourselves to be able to honor our natural rhythms, to slow down. Here we are entering into a season where there's shorter days, much more nighttime, which, really our system says to sleep a little more and to make nourishing soups and to just really get cozy and slow down. And so really to honor those natural rhythms and cycles of our own bodies. Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed. So, and
Yeah.
just last bit I want to add to that is it's vital that we have the times of slowing down, and life has a way, and I think we all have a little experience of this, where if we don't slow down like mindfully, like take advantage of, be proactive with it, life has a way of slowing us down,
Hmm.
and that doesn't always fit into like our plans. And it's like, oh, it's like, I mean, so many people that's, oh, I was just go 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 and nonstop, and then I broke my ankle, and then or my ankles, and so now I have to slow down for the next 2 months. That sucks. And I've talked to people who have experienced something like that, and they're like, yeah, I should, if I wasn't just rushing, I would have absolutely avoided that. But go go go, and stuff happens. So be proactive with it, people. Life has a way of giving us what we need, whether we feel like we want it or not.
Mm.
It's true. Well said.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thank
So
you for that.
speaking
All
of
right. Mhm.
giving the people what they need, or what's good for slowing down, I think we all have a little offering in the world to help people with that. Halcyon, what you got?
I want to encourage people to join me every day at 9 a.m. Pacific for a Love Morning broadcast check-in of gratitude and presence. It's a great way to kind of regulate one another and remember to be present just for a few minutes and kind of get into that headspace and mindset so that we can try to avoid rushing into an agenda that is not ours every day. So you can join me every day. The link is johnstin.com. Will take you to all my links, JOHNSTYN.
What a
Great.
beautiful offering. Love that. And you can find me on all the socials, Betsy Who on Instagram, and my website, finklehoo.com, has a lot of my offerings for my healing work that I do. I do in-person body work, energy work. I do aerial somatics, intuitive guidance. I also do some virtual support and coaching and helping you get in touch with some healthy habits, which might actually be part of what we're talking about, finding more regulation in your system and in your schedule. And also my project, Power Affirmation, which is a variety of tools to help to transform your belief systems about who you are and how you see the world. So there's a journal and there is audio affirmations, which there's one in the show notes, and some new products coming out in 2024 as well to support mindset. So
Nice.
poweraffirmation.com, you can find me there.
Awesome.
I'm excited to see what goodness you're bringing into 2024. Can't wait for that. So, and for myself, I've got a nutritional supplement company called NuWorld Nutritionals, spelled NU World Nutritionals, and we have some microdose products that are really great for helping you relax, helping you to kind of change your perspective, change your outlook, helping you focus. My partner calls it a spa day for your brain. So it's getting a lot of good results for a lot of people. Highly recommend you check it out. NuWorldNutritionals.com. You can use the code SPARK for 10% off of all of our products.
Ooh.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Before we go into an affirmation, I forgot to mention, I also sell shirts that say no urgency and my t-shirt shop at
Ooh.
lovemorefearless.com. So if you'd like a shirt to remind you, there you go.
Amazing. What about a sticker? Can we have a no urgency sticker?
Man, now you just added to my to-do list. Now I feel urgency. Damn it.
And that's honestly kind of
Just
surprising.
take a deep
Honestly,
breath.
yeah.
Let's just
Okay,
take a
okay,
deep
okay.
breath.
Take a deep breath, Halcyon. Yeah, it's kind of kind of
No
surprising in this
rush on
moment.
getting those stickers done, Halcyon.
No
Okay,
Just
okay,
urgency.
okay,
planting the
okay, okay.
seed. Yeah, we'll start with the t-shirt and a good reminder.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
maybe we'll infuse that into our affirmation today.
Please.
Mm.
Hmm. All right. Well, in the spirit of centering and grounding and slowing down, before you swipe to the next thing on your to-do list, let's just take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, filling all the way up. And as we exhale, just relaxing the shoulders and feeling our energy just start to slow down. Let's just infuse an affirmation here that you can just think in your mind with me. I am patient. I am patient. I am patient and present. I am patient and present. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. I give myself permission to slow down. I give myself permission to slow down. I am slowing down. I am slowing down. I am slowing down. All is well. All is well. All is well. All is well. Just in your mind now, all is well. And another deep breath. Feeling our nervous system just reset in that simple practice. Wishing you all grace as you move through your days of doing and finding those beautiful moments to simply be. Thank you for making time to be with us today and listening. Stay sparked.
Stay sparky.